Season 21 winner, Big Brother Jackson. Hey, what's going on, my young little soldier-in-law? Just recorded a fire little banger. Jackson Michie, Season 21 winner, Big Brother. Couple of housekeeping notes here. Road to 1K on YouTube. Like, subscribe, help us out, share with your friends. If you're new to the channel, welcome in, dude. We're the man-to-man boys. We don't really know what the heck going on half the time. Other housekeeping notes, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please rate us 5 stars and review there so we can get more noticed. And to go get your merch, it's getting a little bit colder out. Click the link in the description of whatever you're listening to or watching this on. Go get your hoodies, use code MIXFREE at the checkout to receive free shipping. Please enjoy the interview with Jackson Michie. UFC superstar Jorge Game Bread Masvidal, dude. What's going on, baby?
What's up, everybody?
Alrighty, what up, everybody? Welcome into Man to Man Podcast. Today we're switching things up and talking man to woman. Please welcome on the show singer, songwriter, social media star Lauren Gray. We know you like the DJs.
I am okay.
$1.99 for a banana bag, bro.
Because that commute up the 405 or the 101, whichever way you take, dude, it's a mess.
What was the windy road that we took to get to
Mulholland?
Okay, yeah. We went to EP and LP.
I know it all. Oh no, not even.
Yeah. We went to EP and LP, bro, on Friday night. It was like that rooftop party, you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah, all too well.
It was fun. And I guess one of the questions that I had, because you could just see all, the expensive homes on the Hollywood Hills up there. And I'm just going to you, I'm like, I wonder what is going on up there, dude. And I'm sure just living out there. Yeah,
bro. The spiritual warfare out there is real.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, especially in Nashville, like in the Bible Belt, in this kind of bubble of Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
This, that, the other, and it's just rumors. It's just conspiracy theories. Like, no, bro, it's real.
Yeah.
The Illuminati's real. The witchcraft, the sacrifice, like the rituals.
Is it actually is the Illuminati real, bro?
Dude, it's.
You don't think it is, right?
I know there's something going on. I'm 100% backed in. There's stuff going on in terms of bigger than what the common person is. I don't know if it's essentially just the Illuminati, but there is something bigger.
I rebuke all that in Jesus' name. Man.
Yeah.
It's a seriously dark world, and especially the symbolism that we see is just kind of that tip of the iceberg,
right?
Because they don't hide. The devil don't hide, especially nowadays.
It's all over the place.
Right in front of us.
It's right in front of us.
We were just looking at the sphere, bro. I'm sorry to cut you off with the sphere, the AI stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it's right in front of us. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. It's a wild thing, and especially it's so when I first moved out to LA. I thought, Los Angeles, City of Angels.
Yeah.
I'm fully convinced, City of Fallen Angels more than that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with that Fallen Angels. So
yeah, a little bit.
So Lucifer was actually an angel.
Yes.
In heaven.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know though his role in heaven?
No.
So this is a lot of folks don't.
Do you know it?
I do not. Let's get educated.
He was the worship leader. He was a music composer. Mm-hmm. Right, in heaven. And the first sin was actually pride, and Lucifer wanted to be worshipped as God in heaven. Mm-hmm. That was his pride. And it's wild because when you take a stop on that and think about, music, right? The Lord created music in heaven for the angels to worship him 24/7. Mm-hmm. And Lucifer just so happens to be the angel of music. Mm-hmm. Well, he's so good at deceiving, bro, brilliant at deceiving.
Yeah.
He convinces a third of the angels to worship him as God. And the Lord is like, all right, Satan, you want to be worshipped like God? Fine, I'll give you dominion over the world that I created.
Right.
Until, I send my son back and I bring my people in for his return. You can have that. You and your deceived angels get cast down from heaven, thrown out of heaven onto the earth, right?
Right.
And, breed with mankind, this whole thing, flood the earth, the Nephilim, that whole story. Anyways, but my point is, kind of sidetrack, music is so important. And something I really it's one of the things that, my wife taught me and kind of opened my eyes to was the music we listen to, not just trap rap and this thing, the lyrics aren't bad, this, that, and the other, but all music is inspired by something. You know, like not everybody loves to go do pottery and to crochet, but everyone has an ear for music.
Yeah.
Everybody. Oh, do you like art? No. You want to go, you know, paint this? No.
Yeah.
You like music? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like who doesn't like music?
Yeah.
And it's inspired by something, right? And there's no such thing as neutral. Like it's either one or the other, good or evil. Like there's, you know, Jesus tells us in the Sermon on the Mount, there's a broad path that is easy that leads to destruction and death. And there's a narrow path that is difficult that leads to life, and those who find it are few.
Right.
Right. And so music, especially, it's either glorifying the world, glorifying the self, which is like the first rule in the Satanic Bible, do what you please, or it's glorifying the Lord. So there is no such thing as neutral music. And it's inspired by either a demonic spirit, which is those fallen angels in that spiritual realm still on earth. It's inspired by something, or it's inspired by the Holy Spirit, the Lord. And so music is very important. It's one of the few things that doesn't require permission to have access to our soul. Like we listen to it and we're receiving it whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
Whether it's background music, it's this, it's that. And so like, you know, it's a wild, eye-opening thing. But, you know, the music we listen to is so important, especially out in LA where music is such a popular thing, and in Nashville where music is such a big thing. And like, not to get sidetracked off of that, but dude, there's a lot of darkness out there, and it's coming in to the other parts of the country and the world.
Yeah.
Through our media, through our music. You see it all the time in our shows that get put on Netflix, and it's crazy.
I think we saw that a little bit too, because we have buddies out there that are musicians that were hanging out with us, and you could just kind of tell, like, man, like I'm not getting this. This other guy's got this. Just
a lot of backstabbing.
A lot of
like
backstabbing. Yeah.
Shallow, like under the rug, like fuck this guy. Like I'm
Trying
not
to get theirs, bro.
And it was like, what is actually going on?
Yeah.
You know, if you took a step back, which we kind of did, because one of our buddies is out there, and he kind of just, I mean, he hung out with us basically the whole time. It was just like, there's a lot of things that I don't think we knew at the time, like what actually goes on behind the scenes of like how people get to where they are.
And a younger guy too.
Especially in a younger guy. I'm
old.
like, holy heck.
Yeah.
Well, and that, you know, to get to that level of fame and popularity.
Yeah. There's
Especially
well, it's, you know, Satan took Jesus to the top of the mountain. I'll give you all the riches and kingdoms of this world if you bow down and worship me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Mickey, obviously recurring guest, Jackson Mickey. Welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you. Yeah, Mickey and I, for just some context here, went to school together in Tennessee. We're both from Nashville at the University of Tennessee. Go Vols, but it's tough being a Tennessee fan.
Yeah.
Just everywhere right now. Hopefully we can get the dub over South Carolina today. But then, yeah, dude, I don't know. We interviewed you after you won Big Brother, season 21 winner of Big Brother. That was the first time I watched it, and I personally loved the show. Well, that's the only season I've watched. But then, yeah, after college, I'm from Nashville. I tried to get out of Nashville, moved to Chicago. COVID hit, came back. Sounded like you went to LA. Can you, for the 1 or 2 new followers we might have in the past 3 years, dude, do you mind just kind of breaking it all down after school and just going out there? And then how the heck did you win Big Brother, dude?
Yeah, I'll quickly summarize what has been a wild 4 years now, 4.5, 4 and some change. I don't even know. And
we started the podcast about 4 years ago, and so it's kind of like full circle now. So, but it's
dude,
great.
It's
Let's hear it.
And you know, to think about like where I was at in life when I first even moved out to LA, it was, you know, February of 2019. I was in a really bad spot. You know, as folks that don't know, this is Andy, and Andy and I. Know each other.
I still get called Twas.
Okay, word. Yeah, I didn't know if that was something.
It's not gone yet.
Yeah,
I'm keeping it alive. Keeping it alive.
Keep it running. So Twas and I go way back to the college days, and I was very drastically caught up in the world, and after college had to take a year off, and was just living in Nashville, and just quickly started to continue my spiral downhill, and by 23 years old, it was pretty evident to me that I wasn't going to make it to 25 if I stayed in Nashville. I was in a really dark world here, and with some not great people around me, and then some good buddies around me that I was almost kind of pulling down with me. And I just kind of had this moment of like, you know, I'm either going to like inadvertently end up killing myself, or maybe intentionally, or someone's going to like take me out legit. Yeah. And it was a wild kind of moment of like, I need to get out of this city.
Yeah.
And so I just booked a one-way ticket for February 1st. 2 weeks later, flew out to LA. Had no car, no job, no plan. I had like less than $1,000 to my name, dude. I get out of the plane and I have 4 massive suitcases on the little cart and it's pouring down rain. No idea what I'm going to do. And just started applying for jobs. 10 days in, still haven't heard back. Like 50 different restaurants, bro. Every bar in West Hollywood you can imagine, I applied there.
Yeah.
No one's calling me back. I'm like, yo, what is the deal? I'm at lunch. I see on Instagram there's this ad to go to Big Brother. So I go, I applied. I ran to this casting call. I was like one of the last people in line. Jeans, boots, and a t-shirt. Never thought I'd be on a reality show, nor a desire to be on one. And they loved me. And at that time, I was really struggling. At that point, it was like 2 years of pretty good Xanax addiction, a lot of cocaine addiction as well. Adderall.
Which was very prevalent at Tennessee, let me just say.
Yeah. And apparently, from what I've heard, it's only gotten worse. Now you got fentanyl coming into the mix. And I'm so thankful that, like, rolling up on 3 years clean in October from the hard drugs, I was Cali sober for a little bit, you know.
There you go.
It's the Lord, man, for real.
Yeah,
He delivered me from that. I took my last drink in July 4th of 2022. So a little over 15 months fully sober. And yeah, when I was in LA though, at that time, it was very much not. And I had some things happen, got into a really bad headspace and had a lot of suicidal thoughts, tried to take my own life in April of 2019. And then in May of 2019, I had a stress-induced blood clot that I had to get cut out while high on cocaine. And then a month later, had gotten put on the show, you know, and didn't disclose any of that information to like the casting producers or anything like that. And so kind of just went in there and got cut off cold turkey. So it was kind of like a rehab for me almost, but, you know, a competition show on national TV and ended up winning the show. It was a wild season. It was a lot of things that kind of just unfolded and it changed my life in a lot of ways, saved my life because I don't know if I could have made it through that summer in LA.
With that
Legit.
experience, without maybe going into like all the detail in terms of like that path, but like through that experience of Big Brother, what was that hardest part for you in terms of just the big scope of things of life?
It was a really big catalyst for me and something that I'm still doing every day and will do for the rest of my life is like coming to know myself. Because the first 25 years of my life, I just ran for myself. I had no idea who I was. I was a different person depending on who I was talking to, just to please them. And I was just a people pleaser. I wanted to be accepted, you know? And so for me, even the first, like, because when I got out of the house, I didn't actually like take a step back, pause, let me look at myself here. Where do I need to grow?
Just got some bread.
I just got, yeah, dude. I just got
came in.
my checking account is full. I'm free. Like the first thing we did was go to Vegas, bro. And like I just continued to numb myself and run for myself. And then it wasn't until like I actually moved to Vegas in June of 2020, and then moving out of Vegas in October of 2020 that I realized like if I didn't really change my ways, I was gonna burn eternally, like legit. And all that being said, what I'm even still going with, even just like last night, coming to know more about myself and the areas that I really need to grow and like need to mature and need to change and need to be honest with myself on. And that honesty requires humility. And sometimes it's hard to have, especially when we're talking about like character changes and like recognizing that that show took me places my character couldn't handle, you know, and I didn't, you know, 500 grand is not a ton of money in relation to people that have millions, but for a 23-year-old kid with a lot of problems and no financial literacy or financial guidance, you know, that's a big
Yeah, write me that check now
it's a
and I'll
big
be okay.
rat trap, bro.
Anybody will take 500,000. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can I ask you quickly, what's the taxes off that?
Fat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Fat.
Yeah. It's like, dang, dude, why you got? I thought I was gonna get 500, dude.
Fat.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And you know, there's been so many things that I've had to learn the hard way. You know, not only financially and you know, because the rich stay rich by having their money make money for them, and the poor stay poor because we continue to spend what we make. So learning how to get our money to make money for us, and being able to be a good steward of what the Lord gives me, because I wasn't then, right? And so like God kind of let me go up to this mountaintop only to then let myself get chucked down in the valley and like really smack the deck. And over the like 2019 to 2022, I hit what I thought was rock bottom, but every time it just kept getting lower because I was just so stubborn and hard-headed, and then I kind of needed to hit that, you know? And so the biggest takeaway from the show, I would just really say, is like coming to learn who I am, because that wasn't who I was on the show. That was just a shell of a guy who didn't actually have an identity, you know? And so coming to learn that and being around people that have helped me, you know, give feedback and this, that, and the other, but also just reading the Bible, you know, cover to cover, and really getting in the Word and coming to know Christ. Like that is where my identity's been found. And just taking a step back from social media, getting away from that. Because like 2020 hit and I had such a desire to just change my life and turn it around. I was like, I'm done living like this. And my intentions were right, but my execution was poor. And so I was just like, bro, I need to do less in public and say less in public and just like go into your cave. Just like go away, work on you, get off the grid for a bit.
I was gonna say on the show though, like you gotta give. I'm always like, I'm a guy who looks for like these little small wins because I feel like me and you kind of have the same personality where I'm like, man, it's just not getting better, just trying to find a win. I would say though, you were like pretty strong-minded going into that show in the situation that you were in and winning the show.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Real talk, bro.
Like, what did you learn about yourself right there? Like, did you have little milestones in that 99 days? Be like, you know what? I'm going to just focus on the show here, but I also got like all this backdrop in my head. Yeah. Like, how does somebody do that?
Well, so like the distraction of the show is what helped me get cut off from the different drugs I was hooked on, because there's so much taking your attention and there's so many stressors, right? But like the wild part was, you know, I'm on my season, you know, we're talking, the castmates are talking, they're stressing out, they're not eating, they're this, that, and the other, they can't sleep, blah, 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 because of all the stress. Yo, the stress of that house was so much better than what I was going through in real life. Legit. It was like a vacation. It was like it was like, let me get away from the real problems I have. And so like what I was going through up into that, like even just the last month, I had the blood clot. 3 days later, the CEO of a music label hit me in his $140,000 Porsche, totaled my car, then suing me for over $250,000. 3 weeks later, I'm back home in Nashville filming my intro. I hit a Mercedes van, matte black wrapped, all these different things, personal stuff going on. And then I'm just in the show, disconnected, off the grid. So I was like, oh, this is great. I was like, I don't actually ever want to leave this house because then I actually have to go face these problems. So it was kind of like a fun little getaway. And it's really what helped me like work through it, was because it wasn't anything in relation to kind of what I was dealing with in real life and the mess that I had kind of put myself in, you know? So being very competitive and just wanting to win. Yeah. That was where I was like, all right, I'm just taking it 1 week at a time. I just got to secure safety. I just got to get through this week. Just kind of one thing at a time, which like, you know, in meetings, they tell you like, you know, 1 day at a time, just 1 day at a time. So it was like 1 week, let's just get through this week. Let's get through this week. Let's get through this week. And then before you know it, there's 3 of us left in the house. I'm like, yo, this might actually happen. Yeah. And then it did.
What would you say your hardest week gameplay wise would be in Big Brother? And like maybe like at the last 3, because you did have an alliance. I'm just curious. Also, it's a television show that's filmed 24/7 too, so it's got to add more pressure. But like, what was the hardest week for you there?
Yo, the final 5, bro.
Final 5.
Because like
you weren't gonna. I didn't think you were gonna win that challenge. You know which one I'm talking about, where you were like throwing, I guess, the ball.
Balls. Yeah, it was like the slingshot thing.
Yeah,
that one, and also the fact that like Tommy and Holly were up on the block. And like I was sitting there, I was like, I'm gonna go into Final 4, 3 versus 1. I was like, I don't know what is gonna happen. And that was when I then heard Tommy through the door, and that whole mess.
That was so good, bro.
That was definitely like, that was when I was really like, it's just like that cusp of, it's either I could win the show or I'm going home next week. Because like I just had HOH. No, I can't remember.
I think it was the week before.
There was 5 up there. I think I just won veto or something. Yeah. I can't remember. But nonetheless, I was like, I'm about to be in this house by myself. Mm-hmm. You know, and I was like, this is This is wild. And then they ended up, sending home Tommy, which still will never understand.
That was a wild move, bro.
From your perspective, in terms of like, I'm kind of like trying to focus on more of like a bigger picture of like life. In that situation, when you're down, let's say to the final 5 or the final 3, are you thinking to yourself at that time in your like headspace, like this is kind of like a new beginning, or like this could be a new path for me in terms of like, you say all this stuff that happened to you, like this or that or whatever. Are you in that mindset that you are in, like in the house? Are you thinking like, dang, I could be, a reality TV star? Or is it just more of like I don't know, at the time of like just being who I am, and let me just, once I get done, I'll deal with who I am afterwards?
So interesting you bring that up. I was kind of keeping my composure in the house. The producers for CBS, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but they would call me after like 6-7 weeks in, started calling me to the upstairs diary room, and they had a psychiatrist in there, and she started asking questions, and like what seemed to me, can't confirm, what seemed to me was like planting seeds and intrusive thoughts. And was at one point it was like, so, I just want to ask, what city are you going to be living in when you get out of here? Nashville, LA, your family's from Mississippi. Like, where are you going to go? And I was like, I don't really know, wherever. And they were like, well, okay, we just want to make sure that we can get you a good therapist for when you get out of here, get you set up with somebody. So, we've had some people in the past, when they come out of the house, they can't really handle what's being said about them in a healthy way. We just want to make sure that you're okay. Do we have your permission to kind of set you up with that? And immediately my mind's like, what's going on? Who's saying what? Why do I need a therapist out there? Why are you saying it like that? Are you saying this to the other house guests? Yeah. Is it just me? And I leave there and I'm like, and I go to ask another house guest, you cannot talk about your diary room sessions with other house guests. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. I was like, but it's like the spirals, you know what I'm saying? And they said those things, they did those things, because at no point, especially with stuff that got brought up on finale night, did I ever know. I had no idea. Never crossed my mind. I never got like filled in on that. Like, hey, just letting you know, Twitter's saying this, whatever that. Like, I was completely blindsided. Even on finale night, right before the commercial break ended, before Julie asked me some questions, they were like, came over the intercom, hey, congratulations, you two. Amazing job this season. You're going to get some tough questions coming up. Just answer them to the best of your ability. We're so proud of y'all. All right, we're going live at 5, 4. And I was like, all right, where? Yeah. Tough questions. And then Julie hits me and I'm like, what? Yeah. I had no idea. And so, that's where I'm so thankful that, granted, there are a lot of folks that love me, that support me, that, see the truth and see where I was flawed and also see where I wasn't. Because there's a lot of places that I was really wrong. I was very intense. I was rude. I was disrespectful at times. I was inconsiderate. There's also a lot of things that I wasn't.
Shotgun to beer in less than 2 seconds.
I forgot about that. I did do that.
Impressive. I'll say it's impressive.
But there was definitely some red flags. But there were some things I also got accused of that just wasn't true. Nonetheless, I couldn't have walked out of that house and had the entire country love me and been a reality star and sitting in this couch right here. Legit. Right. I wouldn't have made it pay maybe another year, too. Yeah. And so I'm super thankful for it, because there was, yes, a lot of folks that loved me and supported me, but there's also like a big kick in the teeth. Was it all valid? No. But I needed it, nonetheless. And so in the house, I had no idea that was coming. In the house, I was just focused on like, dang, dude, I could actually I could get some coin. Yeah. This is going to be, we could actually do some stuff with this. And then it just kind of went from there.
What's your first move after that whole show is over? Can you start you win? What's next? What happens?
My
next?
mindset at 23 was, I'm never gonna work again. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm never gonna work again. So naive to think that influencing can actually be a sustainable career, and especially just given the things what happened on my season. like, I'm not ever going to do reality TV again. And that's a blessing. I don't really have a desire to do that at all. I didn't even really want to do reality TV in the first place. I just wanted to compete. Just happened to be on TV.
You were so good at it, which didn't make. I'm sorry, I know I'm just cutting you.
No,
Him
you're
just
good.
in front of the camera, like you would see this kid from Nashville, and it's like it looked like you've been in front of the camera a million times.
Well, honestly, bro, part of that is like just putting on a mask in front of everyone that I waited on, everyone that I served on, everyone that I've been hanging around. Like, just really kind of putting on like an act in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, you put me in front of a camera. Now, granted, also, you forget you're on camera really quick. You really do. Like, it takes maybe an hour, you know?
Yeah.
But my mindset was like, you know, I'm never going to work again. I'm just going to, you know, make these disgusting paychecks off of Instagram deals for the rest of my life. Like,
We're looking for those.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of money in social media. And I was like, oh, okay, great. You know, I got tiny little following. I was like, I can maybe make something with it, this, that, and the other. And then it just kind of seemed like I was getting, you know, one thing after the other. There would be like, this comes out or this comes out. Like, someone on my cast had this kind of thing, and I'm getting dragged into it. And it just kind of was like 1-2 punches, you know, and then COVID hits. And that's when, you know, me and a couple buddies were like, oh, we'll just move to Vegas. And then moving out of Vegas was like, okay, you know, I really need to get some things in order. And in March of 2021 was when I had gotten attacked by those 2 dogs, had a shoulder surgery in June, and I couldn't do anything. I was like, okay, I need to get a skill, right? Like, I need a skill. So I need to figure out. And so I was on TikTok, and this guy who's actually one of my mentors pops up on my For You page, like day trading and investing. And I was like, okay, I got some capital. I've got a computer. Like, let's see what we can do here, because I'm slinged up. Like, can't do anything.
Sitting at the house
Yeah,
doing
sitting at the
nothing.
house.
I remember
Sahara.
this phase of Mickey.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, well, it was not short after we were out there when you were you started it, and then you're still doing it while
Yeah.
we came out and saw kind of like what that was for you. And
Yeah. Y'all got to see my spot in Bell Canyon.
yeah,
Yeah,
in
should
the
we just go
mountains.
ahead and say it, dude? Like, that was one of the best nights of our entire life, bro.
Really?
we still
Yeah.
talk about that to this day, of just like, it was like the perfect like night for us in terms of like where we were just mentally, and then like just where we were like with the podcast.
Yeah.
It was just like, deep breath, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
And
kind
I'm
of
so
what
glad the Thursday night football game or the Sunday night football game, we just couldn't figure it out. Because I was like, oh, well, what are we going to do? And you kind of just like made us food and just put us out on your deck or whatever. And I was just like, okay, so this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
And we're in Los Angeles.
we
like, this
hiked
is
up
part
the
of Los Angeles.
mountains a little
Yeah.
bit.
Caught the sunset.
Yeah. it
Yeah.
was just-
Wow. Was that Bell Canyon?
Bell Canyon.
Yeah.
So that was my daily routine. That was what I did. I didn't watch TV. I was up at 3 a.m, you know, Pacific time. I'd go for a run with Sahara, run up in the mountains, go hiking, get in the stock market, and then I'd, you know, spend my mornings, days, nights watching sunsets, sunrises. Like, honestly, dude, like, face in the dirt, spending time with the Lord. Still hadn't read a Bible though at that point. And so, like, my relationship with God was not really founded on his word, but more so the religion that I grew up in, being Catholic. Still hadn't read his word though, but like, that was my routine. That was my jam. Like, I had no cell signal, and just like working on that and just being present. And dude, that house, that location up in the mountains, single-handedly was one of the best things. It was like an oasis, dude, you know? And I'm so glad y'all got to experience that too, because you got like a night of that, you know what I mean? And it's just like, just healthy.
Yeah.
Just like release and just relief as well.
And I think the biggest thing is like, I'm glad it wasn't just like a, let's go stop by and see Mickey. It was like, let's just go over there for the night and
Yeah.
just lose almost track of time in terms of like, we left pretty late. If I remember correctly, and it was just like, we both looked at each other and we're like, we needed that.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean?
Mickey's in the kitchen for like 20 minutes or so. And I'm like, you got the big blankets on us too, by the way. And I'm like trying to like have a conversation with Liam. Like, yeah, so 20 minutes like talking. I'm like, so what you think about that, dude? He's like,
I'm just like, you know what? It
I'm
is
gonna
what
go
it
get
is.
some more of those the chicken that he's making in there with the barbecue
Because it does
sauce.
get cold up in the mountains.
Yeah,
It does
no,
get
it
cold
did.
at night.
So did you move? Then you were in Vegas. It sounds like for a little bit, and then you moved to Los Angeles at that spot.
Yeah, and moved up to the mountains, and that was when I was like, okay. And that was when I also kind of, almost snapped on Instagram and like was like, I'm done. Cut everyone out, fired managers, fired agents, like went off the wall, kind of like, I can't continue down this path. Like I'm tired of being an influencer. Like I don't want to do this. And then it was, a little while after that, I think it was September, October, I get a call, and that was when I kind of got hit with some news. And I was like, oh, I might need to go back home. And didn't really know what I was going to do. Didn't know how everything was going to work out. And a good buddy of mine, Tony, had given me what's called like this fast track. And it's Genesis to Revelation in 90 minutes. And I'd never read the Bible. That fast track sat on my desk for like 4 months. I get this call, and I'm looking over, and I'm like, I should probably read this. So I started, read it, finished in like an hour and a half. I read it 4 more times, where it kind of breaks down just like a quick synopsis of the Bible, start to finish. Read it 4 more times. I was like, all right, I'm ordering a Bible. And so I realized I was going to have to move out of this house, and I was going to have to go back home to Nashville. And so I'm in Genesis, slinged up, can't do anything, no job, no idea what I'm going to do, and getting all my stuff loaded up into a storage unit to literally go back home to Nashville with a one-way ticket, reading Genesis on the flight, but to live at home with my parents. And you want to talk about like humbling. And ultimately, it was a lot of poor decisions that led me there, and poor money management, and just winning $500,000 in front of 7 million people, to then having to go back home and live with your folks in the house that I grew up in, and like the room that I was in high school.
Hey, Mom, I'm back.
Yeah, legit. And like prodigal son.
Yeah.
So
were you? Did you keep up with anybody from the show like right after? No.
No, there was. The show was interesting because it's a game, but there's also people involved, and some of the folks really took things personally. And like I understand, and I also reached out to some and apologized. Wasn't accepted, so I understand. I'm just going to continue to work on me. And when I was at home, bro, I was so embarrassed, one, disappointed in myself, two, and realizing that like, I have no idea how I'm going to get myself out of this hole. I can't work. I have no arm. I have no money. I have no friends. I have my dog, and I'm going back home with my parents. In the city that when I left in 2019, I never thought I'd return to again. When I jetted out there, bro, I was like, I'm never coming back here.
Yeah.
No desire. And God was like, all right, yeah, you say that. I'm going to snatch you back and put you right back where you need to heal, where you need to grow. And dude, I went into a cave, dude. I changed my number twice.
Yeah.
And cut everyone out. No one knew where I was. No one knew I was in Nashville. Some people thought I was dead, dude. Like they would reach out, it's going green. They'd Instagram DM me. I wouldn't answer. Nothing. I was like, I can't see anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I literally was going to physical therapy and back. And all I did was read my Bible. That was my job. And day trade. Like I'd wake up, I'd get in the Word for a couple hours, and just read every day until I finished. So I've read from Genesis to Revelations, cover to cover. And had some other things happen in life and broke all my rules that I have in place for day trading, my protective rules, my security, this, that, and the other. And, was like, I got greedy, one of the cardinal sins, and overextended my risk way too much, blew up an account.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, what am I going to do now? Like literally, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm. So take us through that in terms of like, you move back, you're still, have an injury, you're still don't know what you're going to do. What is that mindset in terms of, because I think when we saw you out there in LA, I would say your mindset was a whole lot different than what we saw on the TV show per se. Mm-hmm. And it had changed a lot from that point. in terms of just like stepping back and not being, this or that or whatever people might hear on social media about, oh, that Jackson Mickey kid, whatever. What is that mindset for you when you don't have a job? You're still just, like you said, going to physical therapy and back home.
Yeah.
What is that mindset of like, in terms of what are you going to do? Like, did you have something planned or are you still just taking it, quote unquote, day by day?
Well, when I saw y'all, I was in the process of I had my LLC filed, was starting my own supplement company, was trying to open up my own gym, this, that, and the other. But I still had things in my life that I needed to get pruned from. One in particular was cannabis. Like, I needed that taken out of my life because it was still an idol for me, it was a crutch for me. And that was something that was taking the place of the Lord in my life. And coming back was God's way of like removing everything. Like, I'm going to put you in a cave and it's just me and you now, bro. Like, me and you. I need you to lean on me and like trust in me. And literally my own parents would ask like, what are you going to do?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, but I'm just trusting in God. Literally, I'm just going to trust in the Lord. And like had full trust in him. And
then how long was that phase for
November to April.
Okay.
Like complete isolation. Didn't talk to anybody, didn't see anybody. I actually went with my dad one time to Lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. And I posted a little shake on my Instagram story. It was like, long time no see. The first thing anybody's seen in months on social media or that I'm even in Nashville. And Brooks actually hits me up. He goes, bro, are you back? And I was like, he hit me on DM and I was like, here's my number, my new number. Like the first guy to ever get my new number. And he's talking, he's like, dude, I've been trying to get personal trainers, like, having a hard time connecting with some of these guys. Like, yo, you want to go work out with me sometime at Lifetime? I was like, yo, I'm going to be honest, I don't have a membership. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think I can afford one right now. And he was like, don't worry about it. I got you. I'll pay for your membership if you'll just come train me. And I was like, all right, word. So we started going to Lifetime and ran into some folks from high school and college. Oh, how's it going? Long time no see. Yo, you should come check out this Bible study. Okay, cool. A week later, somebody else. Yo, what's up? How's it going? Long time no see. You should come check out this Bible study. Same Bible study. And I was like, all right, whatever. I know the folks that run it. I was like, if I see them, I'll consider it. Yeah. The Lord works in threes. The next week, same day of the week, I walk in. It's the folks who run it. Yo, what's up? Long time no see. Just come check out our Bible study tonight. And I was like, I can't tonight, but I will next week. So I go. Met some great folks. I'm at brunch one day. The guy goes there, and he's telling me about, he's got his 2 phones. He's taking calls, that, and the other. We're just talking about life. He's just like, yo, tell me about everything that's going on with you, this, that, and the other. And again, dude, I couldn't even afford my breakfast. Like, I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have anything. I have one suitcase that I flew home with. Everything else is in a storage unit. Legit. I don't have I'll never forget, bro, when my checking account had $484,000. And I'll never forget flying home and seeing my checking account net negative.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about humbling,
I would do the
bro.
same thing, bro. Honestly.
You want to
At
talk
23.
about? You want to talk about one of the most disappointing feelings, like in yourself. Like, I took this gift and
0.
And you're like, should I go back on a reality TV show, dude?
well, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now, granted, the last third of that money, I was like, give it, take it. I felt wrong for having it. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was trying to give back to people and help those less fortunate. This, because I didn't feel like I deserved to have it. And I was going about it in the wrong way, though. My intentions were right. My execution was poor. And I'm at brunch back in March or whatever, and of 2022. And he's like, I don't know why. I just kind of feel led to ask, like, if you ever want another like stream of income, I got this job. I think you'd be good at it. And I was like, bro, if you only knew what I'm facing. I was like, if you only knew what I'm facing. And And I was like, I could be interested, trying to contain my excitement.
Right.
But like, talk about an answered prayer. Like, I didn't know where it was going to come from. I didn't know how it was going to get here, but I knew the Lord was going to take care of me if I just completely trusted in him. And like, go to this random brunch, he's driving me back home, right? And he's literally calling his boss. Hey, I got this guy. He's going to be an absolute killer. Like, you need to talk to him. You need to get him an interview. Like, you need to hire this guy. Only one condition, like, I'm going to train him when he gets hired. He's like, well, put him on the phone. So I talked to him. He's like, yeah, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, no, I got time. I got time. And, first thing I do is then, hey, Mom, can you drive me to this interview? Legit. And so I go in there, and it's sales, right? And I ended up getting hired. Never thought that I'd be doing this. Never thought that I'd be, working again. But it was a blessing. The guy that hired me was a groomsman at my wedding. He's one of the best guys I've ever met. Strong believer. And it was an amazing timing for it because it allowed me to really do some things with my life and turn things around. But at that point, I was, just focusing on the Lord, and like, that was it. Buddies of mine would be like, because people, I would post little videos here and there, and like, one of them kind of blew up, and there was a really weird ratio of the amount of views that I got versus the amount of DMs that I got on Instagram. Like, hundreds of DMs. It was a video I made about kind of like coming to know Christ, like giving up the things of the world and coming to know Jesus. And like, all these quote unquote Christian girls kind of flooding the Instagram inbox. And I was like, dude, I want nothing to do with this. And Brooks was like, but bro, how do you not know if one of these girls could like be your wife or this? And I was like, I don't care. I'm not into it. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. I don't have any interest to be with a relationship or anything like that ever. I literally thought it was just going to be me and my dog.
Just trying to start my job, dude.
Yeah. And then, fast forward a couple weeks later, it's my birthday in June, and a couple months later, and I'm at dinner, 2 other couples that are, good friends, and they're both married. Like, we got to hook you up with somebody. We need to set you up with one of our friends, blah, blah. And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to know who she is. I don't want her to know who I am. I don't want her from my hometown. Like, I don't want anything to do with, I don't want anything to do with the relationship. I'm good. And they're like, you say that, and this is when God's going to like bring you your wife. And literally, dude, 2 weeks later, not even, is when I met my wife at Bible study. And it was like, not an attraction in the sense of like a physical attraction. My soul, like my heart literally just felt drawn to her. And I was like, what's your name? That was the first thing I ever said to her. And it's been a blessing ever since. Caitlin and I, we've just been connected literally nonstop. And we just quickly became best friends and then fell in love with each other. And that's sort of been the journey ever since. That's been like, okay, working through these things, these holes that I put myself in, the Lord pulling me out, me doing what I need to, but also really changing my perspective on life and like completely leaving the old behind and like, behold, I'm doing a new thing very much, Isaiah 43. So that kind of situation has really been.
That is a beautiful thing, man. Again, we always say this, we're just trying to get some texts back. Hey, it's funny? And also congrats, in all seriousness. You got engaged, a couple months ago?
We got married July 7th.
July 7th.
July 7th.
Congratulations.
7/7.
Here's something funny. When I was looking at Airbnbs for us to stay in at Sherman Oaks, I don't even know if I told you this. I was looking at a home out there that you had stayed at, that you had commented on as a review.
No way.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was.
I don't know this
Do you know which
story.
one I'm talking about?
Dude, that's wild.
It was kind of that home out there on the hilltop by itself. And there was like, it was like a house right there. It was just like its house. But then there was like a guest house. And then there was maybe like a little swing area that faced over the mountains.
Did it have a hot tub?
Yes.
Yes, dude.
Yes.
Beautiful house.
Yes.
I low-key want to buy it.
Yeah.
I low-key want to buy it.
I was like, we should get that one, dude. We should get that one.
Yeah, dude. No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Was one of the best weeks. Caitlin and I actually went up there. I had to go out for some work stuff. And I was like, hey, you want to come? Like, go see some of these mountains. So I got to take her around, like, we're, all LA and like.
And that was close to where you stayed at too, right? It was in the canyons up there.
It was one canyon over.
Yeah.
So I lived in Bell Canyon. This was like Topanga Canyon. Very close proximity, to the point that like in that house when we were staying there in the Airbnb, I would actually physically run on my morning runs to Bell Canyon and then back. So it was that close. It was like 2-3 miles.
Yeah.
Because there's not really many houses in the neighborhood I was living in. It's an Airbnb. You remember like when y'all
Oh
came?
yeah, it's
Fat cat houses.
pretty secluded.
Yeah. Very secure.
They gave us a nice warm welcoming. I don't know if you remember this, but you should remember there was a big bird poop right as we pulled up to Mickey's place because we had the top drop open.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot about
yeah.
that.
The bird
dude.
took a nice
It
look.
was huge, dude.
Oh,
He's
it's
like,
so
"You're
good.
gonna have a great night, but just let me just place this real quick for you,
Yeah.
just so you know."
Just so you know.
Dude, I have a question. On Big Brother, you were known for your many different quotes.
Yeah.
Can you give us your top 3, dude?
Chestnut checkers is obviously one that's, you know, that's always going to
money.
stick. Yeah. I came here for confetti. That was another one. And then I'm trying to think of what another. I mean, I had quite a few. And honestly, dude, I haven't watched my season in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the third one. What a third one would be.
Big watermelon guy, too.
It's a huge watermelon guy. I actually just cut up 2 last night. Legit, in our Tupperware.
I remember, dude, like right after the show, you made like how to cut a watermelon tutorial video.
And also how to pick one, too.
Yeah.
How to pick one popped off. I don't know, because I guess people don't know how to pick good melons.
Yeah, I guess how can you tell like the difference between watermelons?
Yeah.
How?
Oh, well, so I thought you were asking, but I'll be happy to elaborate.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you look for you need a big, strong yellow spot. You want some dark green stripes. The wider, the better. Big green yellow spot. And then you got to knock. It's that ear test, that sound test. It's
And what are you listening for on
reverberating,
that?
like a dunk, 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 like it kind of reverberates through. And I think the last time we talked, y'all were asking about like what, you know, items would be in my fridge. And I had just really gotten into mango.
Oh, okay.
Mango's good.
I've been ever since, dude, have not stopped on the mango. I now know how to pick them.
Okay.
So I don't have to get the pre-cut anymore. I prefer actually to get the ones that I cut myself, like the real mangoes, because you just get more.
Yeah.
But I put Caitlin onto mango too. She loves mango now. But yeah, man, watermelon and mango are like 1-2 punch.
What do you like?
I was gonna say I think I've been on, which it's not really I guess it is a thing, but like the cucumber water is one
yeah.
of my things now. Like I was drinking tea for the longest because I love tea, just like unsweet, just raw tea. I would prefer
Like
that.
Ghost?
I do like Ghost.
Yeah, this Bubblicious flavor, not to
Yeah.
cut you off.
Yeah. But
try it.
yeah, I'll take a
Yeah, let's do it.
It's okay,
Ghost.
So this
Shout out to Ghost.
Shout out Ghost.
We'll look for some sponsors here if you want. But
So this flavor in particular is a summer flavor, and I got it from the gym that I train at over Carbon Performance in Franklin. Cheers, Bubblicious, and I was like, they're almost out of stock.
Oh damn, that's good.
I don't.
tastes like the gum.
It tastes like the gum. It's so good.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that.
It's bomb.
So are you now? Are you like fully recovered with everything? Like
Yeah.
your shoulder's good, and
Well-
you're like working out, and it sounds like you're married, you got a good life, and you know, even though I don't really want to be back in Nashville, I was the same way when I moved to Chicago, dude. And in
Yeah.
COVID, I was like, God, dang it, dude, I was trying to get out of this city. But I love Nashville, and obviously we're living in the city of cranes now. But
Yeah.
do you like being back?
I do. You know, it's interesting about the whole shoulder situation. So it's never going to be the same. Like the amount of work that got done on there, and my training has then drastically changed. But in a good way, because like it's really helped me connect more with myself. You know, I can't push the same weight. My range of motion is limited, so it's really forced me to get creative and kind of work on my mind muscle connection to protect the shoulder joint. You know, and I'd been unprofessionally training people, like personal training, for over 7 years. And so, especially being out in LA, learning from a lot of guys in the fitness industry, some very knowledgeable dudes that understand the biomechanics of the body, and being able to translate that into my own self, but also to other guys as well. I was doing that at Zoo Culture, you know, in LA, and now here at Carbon Performance in Franklin. And dude, the gym setting is such a place of, it's such a breeding ground for vanity and pride and anger and lust and all the things that like I'm guilty of in my life. But there's such a void of like laborers in that field for the kingdom, for the heavenly kingdom. And so, dude, I pray every day with an expectant heart that the Lord will cross my paths with someone who needs him through me. And in the last year and a half alone, over 100-something guys that I've met, that the Lord has just united us. And in that gym, being able to talk with them, being able to get to know them more, able to give them somewhere to talk and to vent. And a lot of guys that have similar problems that I struggled with. So I don't necessarily have my own desire to be back in Nashville, but I see every day that there's a reason why I'm here. In my line of work, in sales, the amount of people that I've met, some guys, you know, in their 40s and 50s that have prodigal sons, struggling with addiction, haven't seen the house in a couple of years, haven't heard from them, this, that, and the other, asking me questions, you know, needing advice, kind of looking for answers. How do I love him? How do I, you know, get him home? And some amazing folks, some, you know, mentors and such. Like a couple of my customers actually got invited to our wedding. And so Nashville, where I'm at now, I never thought I would be. Very different than the Nashville that I grew up in, that I was partying in. I never go downtown. I live down in Spring Hill, so like 45 minutes south. Like, let me get away from everything. But I do know that the Lord brought me here for a reason. I don't know how long this season will be. I don't know if I'm going to stay here long term, if Kayla and I are going to go down to Florida. Her and I both have a desire to go more into ministry and to really just kind of help in that way. When and how that looks, we both know that we need preparation for that. And so that's another reason why I'm just like taking a step back from things on social media and this, that, and the other, and just trying to really just get worked on and put in work in private and away from everything, and just focus on my marriage. I've never been a husband before. I've also never had a wife before. And so learning a lot about that, learning a lot about myself. And what I was talking about earlier, you know, you were like, what's the biggest takeaways in this, that? And I was like, I'm still have that takeaway about learning myself. Right. Kayla and I had a conversation last night, literally, where she's bringing things up and talking to me about stuff that I'm needing to hear, and also kind of do some reflection. I'd be like, yeah, you know, I totally see that. I need to work on the way that I say this, or, you know, even just replies and stuff like that, that men and women operate differently. And how can I be better for her, and how can I be better for those around me by learning about myself more?
I was going to say, we'll do a couple more, but the one question I have for you in terms of reflection in looking back now that you are back in Nashville, for people that maybe you've known or were friends with that you aren't friends with now, and they don't really look at you in the same light, or maybe they do have this mental picture of you of like, oh, Jackson Michie, I knew him back, you know, when you were younger and what you got into and stuff. How does that creep into your mind of like a negative light if you meet somebody or you see somebody that you were friends with back in the day and they don't really talk to you anymore or something like that? Does that ever like hinder your like thought process of like, if I do happen to run into somebody and they only knew me for what I was and not the new picture of who you are now?
That's a fantastic question. And there's a couple folds to it. Because even when I was super toxic coming out of the show, I was accused of things that weren't true. Right. There were things that were true. Again, I've run those down where I really need to make some changes, especially like in my intensity, my aggression, the way that I spoke. But there were also things that I got accused of that wasn't legit. And for a little while, bro, it really messed with my head. Right. Like, I just wanted to scream on the mountaintops, like, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. Like, I didn't say anything. Like, and everything that was brought up was, you know, Twitter talk and assumptions and this, that, and the other. Like, nothing ever happened or was said. But there's still the way that cancel culture happens. And, you know, it's really just like 1 or 2% of the population that is the most vocal, but really messed with my psyche. And every time I saw somebody in public, hey, are you Mickey from Big Brother? The first thing that went through my mind was like, what do they think of me?
Right.
Do they think this? Do they think that? And I would catch myself almost like just running my mouth, trying to prove that I'm innocent.
Right.
Right.
And then be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, they just asked for a picture. And you've been talking to them for 10 minutes about how you've been wrongly accused of this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So it was really tough. And that same thing applies now. But that time in the show is what really helped me be at a place where now it doesn't affect me at all. And the other aspect of me not being affected is because my intentions are not for anyone around me. I don't care really what anyone thinks. Like, my heart is to be better for the Lord. And what someone thinks about me when they see me, or someone from my past still thinks that I'm doing this, that, and the other, they're not going to be the one who judges. You know what I mean? And the Lord sees my heart posture in that. And at first, when I came out of the show, my desire was to, prove people wrong. Like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. And that's where I was like, I'm putting all this aside. That's why I kind of took a step back from social media and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I don't care. And I see people now, especially people I knew from high school and college. And, a couple of years ago, that thought might have come into my mind. Now I'm at a place where it doesn't really faze me, and it's a genuine sense of like, hey, it's good to see you. I love you. And I just pray that when people see me, they will see Christ in me, and that just speaks for itself. I don't have a desire or a thought of, what do they think? Do they still remember this? Do they still remember that? Like, they probably saw me this night at this event, doing this. It's not what I'm doing anymore.
Would you say people hold grudges more than they should?
Yeah, dude. And to be fair, I've sent quite a few apologies to people. Past relationships, guys, that I felt like, the Lord put me in positions of leadership. And even before the show, being a pledge trainer, being the social chair of the fraternity, this, that, and the other, like, where was I leading people, bro? For real.
In the basement.
And into the same flames that I was walking towards.
Yeah.
And like straight up seeing some guys and be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For the influence that I could have had.
Do you feel like you're like, you get too down on yourself though, to a certain degree?
Not really.
Because we didn't know what we were doing in college, dude.
Well, my thing is like, it's not like I'm mourning and I'm so sorry, but I do feel obligated to like, hey, I just want to apologize.
Just acknowledge that.
Acknowledge that I messed up.
Yeah.
And get that out and then move on.
Yeah, there's no excuse, just acknowledge it.
And just acknowledge it. Like, especially there's some people more than others. It's not like everybody, hey, we partied once in college. I'm so sorry for this, that, and the other. Right. No, these are guys that like I was really close with that I was like having a negative influence on. You know what I mean? Or, past relationships where I didn't really handle things well. And like, hey, I'm sorry for that, and you didn't deserve that. And, other times just kind of internally taking recognition. And, sometimes some people have had to vent to me. And there was a times I'm like, that wasn't my fault, but whatever, I feel you and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the healing process.
I think we're all at an age too where it's like, dude, if you're like focused on like what this person did in the past, like why are you thinking about that? Just kind of like everyone's in our own state of like focusing on our career, getting married, buying homes. For me personally, I'm trying to figure out how to like smaller my circle, make my circle smaller. But I'm such a people person. I feel like I'm somewhat like you. Liam and I are total opposites. This guy just likes to chill by himself, and he's an only child. I'm an only child. I got to go hang out with people. But I have groups here in Nashville, like, I already know what they're doing. They're going to go to Broadway, or they're going to go to another bar down here. And then I'm just going to end up going to bed at like 3 a.m., dude, and feel like crap the next day.
Well, and I was that same way. Now I'm at a place like, dude, I'm a homebody, bro. Like, I wake up, I go to work, I go to the gym. Like, I go home.
Yeah.
I'm a homebody. I'm now on the other end of the spectrum because I used to be like, I was never at home. If I was never by myself. I had to be around people, this, that, and the other. And like you said, bro, we're all growing up. We're at a really weird age of those mid to late 20s. We're creeping up on 30. We're not really the same teen 20-year-old degenerates we used to be, and like everyone's kind of at different levels of that in growth. But I knew that I couldn't make any growth, especially in a city like Nashville, if I stayed doing the same things with the same people. Like I had to completely remove that from my life, you know, and the people that I was around also needed me to do that because I wasn't impacting them in a great way either, you know?
Yeah. Anything on that, homebody?
No, I'm on the same page as Mickey on that one.
It's peaceful, bro.
It is.
Like, you
and
know,
that's what I try to kind of whisper into Andy's ear every once in a while, just of like, because he is younger than I am. There is a process of like growing up that you will soon, and hopefully, you know, don't do something dramatic that changes your life forever. But like slowly learning and growing up, that you will turn into like, I don't need to go out and see everybody at all the time. You will, because I mean, I do like to go out. Let's not be like, I'd like to go out, but it's not like I need to go out. If I want to go out, I'll go out. But more likely than not, just keep me at home.
Yeah. Also, like, just my job is social media. Like, I'm a content creator for a sports media company. I'm always on social media. I'm on social media for the podcast. So, like, I don't even think I've taken 2 days away from social media in like 3-4 years, bro.
yeah.
So what would your advice be for someone like that that's always plugged in on social media? Everyone wakes up, rotates the platforms, and then that's how you start the day.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on?
Dude, crazy you asked. So, I actually have this phone case. I'll show you. So I've got this phone case that covers my screen intentionally, right? This phone is amazing, and it is direct access to the world, right? Who's the prince of the air, and who's got dominion over this world? My mornings start with, one, I don't allow myself to look in the mirror. I don't allow myself to check my phone until I've spent time in prayer with the Lord and in the Word. Those are my rules, because even when after I gotten, you know, clean and sober and different things like that, my physique was still an idol, right? And there was vanity there, and I refuse to let my mornings start with that. I'm not going to fix my eyes on myself and allow that to come back into play. I'm also not going to get in the world before I get in His Word. And we are the most pure we're ever going to be again in the morning. Tomorrow morning is your most pure state you'll ever have again, because guess what's coming tomorrow? More pollutants, more stresses, more things. Tomorrow morning is the most pure state you're probably going to have ever again. Because who knows what tomorrow brings? Mm-hmm. You know, Matthew 6, don't stress about tomorrow. It's got enough stress of its own. Just focus on today, right? So for me, my process has been for almost 2 years now. Like, I wake up, hit my knees, get on my face, pray, get in the Word, and then I'll check my phone. I got to put on that full armor of faith, right? And I don't know where y'all stand in terms of, I don't like the word religion, but it's relationship with Christ, and it's not my place. You know, I'm not going to judge. I love both y'all so much, dude. I love y'all so much. Regardless of whatever y'all do or don't do on your time, does not change the love that I have for you. But if you're asking for advice, and you're asking, you know, starting your mornings, dude, the world is so deceiving. The world is so deceiving in terms of satisfaction and acceptance and joy. There's no real joy in the world. And there's no real peace in the world. There's no real satisfaction in the world. All of it is fleeting. It's little quick doses of dopamine. Who liked this? How many shares do I have? How many comments do I have? How many followers do I have? This, that, and the other. There's a spike or there's a plummet of both. You're starting your morning out, and what I used to do, the same, roll over, check Instagram. Roll over, check TikTok. Roll over, check Snapchat, this, that, and the other, which deleted Snapchat a while ago. One of the best decisions ever. And it was like, okay, I'm starting my day out in the world. We are destined for just a struggle that day if we're not truly starting our day out in peace and quiet. And like, it's my morning routine. I wake up, pray, I get in the Word. Maybe I'll check my phone, but typically I'll go downstairs, I'll chug a half gallon of water. Then I'll check my phone, and then maybe I'll have a cup of coffee, take the dogs for a run, back before the sun is up, and like start like kind of was doing in California, you know, but like starting our days in a peaceful state. Because dude, yo, the world is chaos, bro. Yeah. And like this phone with the 5G, and this is not from the Lord, bro. Like this is it. There's things that can be used. What the enemy intends for evil, the Lord will use for good. These phones are amazing. They can share the word of God. They can be lights to people. They can really help, especially in the spread of knowledge and information and wisdom and things like that. But it also can be a gateway to a lot of dependency on the other ends of this, especially in social media.
Yeah.
And social media, bro, is a tough racket.
Especially because every business, even like my mom's business, is like, hey, we need to push social media. Like every business gets their word out from social media and putting money behind paid posts. Yeah. And
that's the other thing, you know, the money behind it. Like fiat dollar, the man-made currency that, you know, seek first the kingdom and all these things will be appointed to you. Like, look at the birds of the sky. They neither reap nor sow nor store in barns that your heavenly Father provides. You're not of more value than they. When we let go of our desire for money, we let go of where this next dollar is going to come from, this, that, and the other, and we seek the Lord, which is what happened to me at my parents' house. He knows what we need, but he needs to also know that we can be trusted with that. And those blessings from the Lord, he will wait to check our heart posture, because the devil's in the blessing business too. We see that. You see that out in LA. You see that here. You see all this talk, especially in the music and the entertainment world, about manifestation, about creating your own things, and like manifestation, putting the emphasis on man rather than our creator, makes us as the creation a God, our own God, and that's not the case. And so it's tough, especially in social media with all this talk about it, especially in the entertainment industry with all this talk about it. And bro, you know, you're asking for my advice, my encouragement is to really seek the Lord, get in his word, build that relationship with him. You don't have to go be in a pew to be in a relationship with Christ, especially in the Bible Belt, bro. There's a lot of churches here. Not to go on a tangent, but there's a lot of churches here, and there's also a lot of performance here in Nashville and self-idolatry, right? A lot of people come to Nashville to be these big singers and this, that, and the other, and you know, not all who say to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father will enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 7:21 through 23. You know, many will cry out, Lord, Lord, we prophesied in your name. We cast out demons in your name. We did many mighty works in your name. And he says, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. That's to believers. So like, that's to people that are claiming to know Christ, that think their works are going to get them saved, the lukewarm Christianity. Ultimately, like that peace that we're seeking in the starting our days comes from a relationship with him, in intimate time with him. And so I would encourage you to, bro, like have a rule for yourself, protect yourself from yourself. If you find things that are making you stressed or anxious or worried, don't allow those stressors near you or your heart for at least the first 45 minutes to an hour of your day.
Love it. You take the cold shower too, don't you?
I do.
Ooh, plunges, bro. You in an ice bath?
No, I just take
Cold
a cold
showers.
shower every morning. That's how I start my day, and then from there, it's like I don't check my phone at all. Like I wake up and my phone's probably in the other room, not even charged. But that's just the difference between me and him. But
well, how do you feel like your ability to handle the things with social media and the stresses is? You think it's better or worse?
I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't posted on Instagram for a year. I except the LA trip that I just posted, but since then it was like a year. Yeah. And I don't let social media or like the thoughts on social media of like the pressure of trying to get somebody to like me or whatever bother me. So I think for my own sanity, which I've just did for myself, was like I don't need that approval. And I think it's different because I don't need social media, which I've learned, but it's also like it's there. So if I want to do it, I'll do it. Same thing with like going out. If I want to go out, I'll go out. Yeah. So it's a little different. My job doesn't revolve around it. Yeah. Except for a podcast, which is weird because they're like, you got to be on social media if
that's
you're
why
doing.
We got some help, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what you're like. Yo, if you can find someone that can do a task even 70% as good as you, Delegate that away.
That's what I
Let them do it
what we're
and
working on.
pay them. You know what I'm saying? Let them do it. And like, because you don't want to have to deal with that. And that was one of the other reasons. Was like, I took a step away because, bro, it is consuming, time consuming, and it will consume you in unhealthy ways, bro. That like, dude, our mindset starts to shit. It's such a toxic place to be. Like when we gotta wake up, and I'm saying this from my experience. What am I going to post? What am I going to wear? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do this? I got to get pictures of me doing this, pictures of me doing that, videos of me doing this. And it's just like me. And it just becomes this like distorted view of like, oh, everyone cares what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, it was stealing my joy. It was like the thief of my peace was trying to live like for people through this screen. Because in reality, bro, somebody opens their phone, they check it, let's say, see my picture date, all right, scroll.
Yeah.
It's 2 seconds gone. Probably put 5-6 hours of thought into this post.
Yeah.
The editing, the lighting, the this, the caption, whatever. Someone's like, or not even like it, just keep scrolling.
That's the dangerous game. We were talking about that in the last internal pod. I was like, dude, my brain might be mushed, dude, by like 45. I got to get off this damn phone, dude. You know? It's because it's all scroll. It's all nonstop scroll now.
Yeah. What's your and I don't want to put you on blast here.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
What's your screen time look like?
Oh, it's probably not great at all. I don't even know how to check it, bro, to be honest. How do you check your screen time?
Just curious.
I think the last week I had 8 hours of screen time for the week.
Screen time. I didn't even know this was a thing. Oh, turn on screen time.
He's safe.
Yeah, he's
Safe.
good.
Safe.
Turn that on and
Yeah, I'll
we'll
turn it on,
report back.
Yeah, we'll
next
report back. We'll table that in a couple weeks.
Next episode,
Yeah.
we'll see what it is.
But yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's Nashville's city that I just never thought I'd be back in. I also never thought I'd get married.
Yeah.
Didn't think someone with the life I lived deserved it, nor that anyone like her still existed. Completely.
Can you change this guy's mind about not? He again on the last internal podcast last week. He's like, "Yeah, I'll have 3 kids, but I'm never getting married, bro."
I say I probably won't ever get married. My mind says I probably won't ever get
I
married.
feel you. So, whoever says that like marriage is the end of all the fun, they're a liar, dude. Like that's when the adventure of life really starts. Yeah. Like finding somebody who is like your teammate, like your person, bro. Kaylin knows every single detail about my life. Yeah. And still somehow loves me.
And I'm hesitant to say this, but another thing that I say that because is like, at least at the time, I thought I had that somebody. So now I'm in the sense of like, it was there, everything was lined up, and it was like a meeting of the minds between the both of us. Is like, A, the timing wasn't right, or we both like mutually decided we're not going to do this. So that's kind of why I say that now, is because I was there, ready to commit, ready to do it all, and then now it's like, okay, I've had that in my life, and now it's not there, so I'm probably not going to get married. That's kind of why I said
it'll come when you least expect it, bro.
I know.
I feel you on that, and was very much surprised.
Oh yeah, I know it's out there, and it again probably will happen, but my mindset's like it
today
probably
might be
won't.
the day that marks. Okay, because this is literally
Go
what
get some
happened
lunch
to me,
after
dude.
this,
Like I got really blindsided. In a relationship, I was like, all right, I'm done with this for good. And year and a half later, I was talking to some folks, and I mean, I was like so certain. It's like I'm never getting married. I'm just gonna be single with my dog for the rest of my life. Like it's not for me. It's not gonna happen. 2 weeks later, and it ultimately was me being in a heart posture of not desiring or coveting marriage or a wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's usually when it happens, is when you kind of just come to peace in terms of like, I ain't getting married. Right. And then, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Here she comes.
I'm there.
Yeah. Dude, Mickey, thanks for coming on, brother. We ask this at the end of every single one of our interviews. This isn't even an interview, dude. Just welcome back on the podcast. It's always good seeing you. Man to man, what is the key to success?
Key to success. Man, I truly believe it's a relationship with Christ. He will, like, that's where identity is found. that's where he'll take us, you know, and whatever like kind of job we're in, we're always, you know, able to be vessels. We're able to be obedient. We're able to labor those fields and like to do his will. And the success from him will come, and that's what will last, is that eternal, everlasting life that we are hoping to receive, you know. And yeah, man, it's that, and just, I think, loving unconditionally. Like, that's the other part, is loving everyone unconditionally as we're called to.
It's
You
tough.
know, especially our enemies or those who have done us wrong. Loving through disrespect, which, random plug here, unaffiliated, not a sponsor, but a great read. I wish I would have read it when I was single. It's called Love and Respect. Check that out. It will teach us, it taught me, there are times when you read it and you're like, oh yeah, you know, she does this or that, but 99% of it is more like, oh, this is what I do. It's written by a guy and his wife. He's a pastor. They've been marriage counselors. They've been married for over 50 years. And it's based on scripture, but it talks about Ephesians 5, where, you know, husbands are called to love your wives as Christ loves the church. It's an agape, which is the Greek word. Agape, like an unconditional love. And wives are called to respect your husbands. What happens is, women, maybe we act in a way that seems unloving, and they then act in a way that feels, or that acts and seems disrespectful to us. Women come and operate off a place of love, and men operate off of respect. So when we feel disrespected, it's hard for us to love through that. And when they feel unloved, they often act in a way that seems disrespectful. But that translates into relationships with friends, with guys, with other people. Like, and I think back on my life, how cold I get when I feel disrespected, or how quick I am to cut people out, and how many potential bridges I burned, or how many things that I could have handled better if I would have just loved unconditionally and had trust that it's all going to work out. Oh, this fell through. Great. Thank you, God. Oh, this person left my life. Amazing. Thank you, Lord. Like similar situation, you know, that you're talking about. That's a blessing. You know what I mean? Every time I've gotten my teeth kicked in, blessing, bro. And just loving unconditionally. Like, that is something that will carry us through life, and that, like, it's tough to do, but I think one of the other keys to success. And it's tough for men because we don't really operate from that place, you know?
Yeah. Get frustrated too often, dude.
Yeah.
Bro,
Just gotta relax a little bit.
It's not easy.
Well,
Jackson, Mickey, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it again, man.
It's good seeing you coming back to Nashville too, man.
Yeah, dude.
We'll have to hang out and go get some lunch or something sometime soon.
Bro.
So.
Hey, we'll go to Frothy Monkey.
Yeah, I know. It's a staple.
We'll get some. I go up to Mount Juliet through Thursday mornings. If you ever want to get another one, a cup of coffee, bro, I'm down.
Yeah.
Are you back in Nashville?
We'll leave that. 'Cause
TBD.
we're gonna probably come out next week with some big news. So yeah,
Nice.
leave you on a little
yes.
cliffhanger.
There you go. I love you
Cool.
both, man.
Yeah.
Jackson,
I appreciate
Mickey,
it,
man.
man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
see
you, man.